Hello everyone. Today I'm going to cover the topic of sockets in Python. What's basically the socket is. It's a huge topic first of all. So we will just cover the basic one in this video. And sockets are so to start thinking about sockets first, we will just think about what a client server model is. Client server model is where the client requests to server for some data and the data is given back by the server to the client. So whenever the client requests for the data to the server, it establishes a socket between the client and the server. So that's what the socket is. That helps us to establish a connection between two entities. And secondly, we will be using port 80 for HTTP. So what's the port is? It's a kind of metaphor. You can just think about if someone doesn't knows. It's a kind of metaphor like a seaport from where the ships comes and goes. It's the same way in which the data goes and comes through the server. So we will be using HTTP. For HTTP, it's a particular port is 80. Like for port 20, it is for FTP, file transfer protocol, and for port 22, it's secure shell SSH, and so on. So we start here. We will import the socket module that is inbuilt in this Python, so we don't have to import it from the third party. So it's inbuilt in Python. So to write import, then we will define the server we want it here, and define a server over here what we want. Now this is, let it be google.com. So to simply get an it's a domain name over here. So first of all, if we want to convert that domain name to a IP address, we can use the socket module to do that. So but the other way is to just type it with the terminal. Like if we want to just ping it to some www.google.com, and we can see the IP address. What's the IP address of Google over here. So and the other way around is to see that IP address by using socket module is to make to call the inbuilt function of socket. Server IP will be socket dot get host by name. So we will just take an argument of server because we have to find the IP address of the www.google.com. So we can, to verify it, we can print this server underscore IP, save it and just run it. Oh, my bad, I've not just typed it wrong. Control S and we will just run it. So that's the IP of google.com. okay, so further we will make a request. We will just make a get request to the server, so we can just access the basic data. That will be just the piece of junk and to make it our request to the server, we will just make a get request. So there are different kind of requests that you can make. It can be post request, get request. The main difference between get and post is post is usually used for big amount of data that you have to transfer or something, get like video or something like that. But if it is a small one, you can get one. We will make a HTTP an HTTP method. It will be basically 1.1. So there are two type of HTTP methods over here, 1.0 and 1.1. So what's the basic difference between 1.1 and 1.0 is the main difference is in 1.0, if a client requests data from this server, when the connection is established, when the client gets the data back from the server, the connection between the client and the server will automatically break down, and they will not have any connection between them after the client gets the data. But in 1.1 is that after getting the data from the server, client will remain connected to the server. So we will be using 1.1 over here. Like we will be just typing out new line characters for space. So here we are using server over here. People would mainly say that we should use server IP or server IP. Instead of server, we are using domain name. So you can use any of them, because in the end it is just going to be converted into IP address. So you can just type it as a domain name or IP address, it doesn't matter. So we have just made a put a request in request variable. So now we will just make a socket. So make a socket is socket.socket, and guess what, it's again socket dot. You can just make it easier by pressing the tab key. So what's AF inet over here? It's a way you want to connect to the server. It's not so important, but it's just, you can just imagine the thing that it's just a way to connect to the server you are connecting. And after it, socket dot, we will use SOC SOC sock stream. So what sock stream is doing, it is like, it will help us to establish a connection that will be in the form of TCP connection. So they can be UDP or TCP connection. So we will be using TCP connection for this. Just to connect to the server, we will just type s.connect server IP or domain name that you want to type, and the port number. So port number should be 80. So without writing a port number, we can just first initialize it with port equal to 80. So don't have to write 80 over here, we can write port s dot. We have made a connection, then we have to send it, s dot send. So what we have to send, we have to send the request that we have made. So what's the now here is the main difference between Python 3.6 that we are using and 2.7. So we will be using the 3.6, that will, when we send the data, it will be like in a form of string. So we have to encode it in a byte form to send it before to the server. So it's important to note that in 3.6 we have to use encode function over here to encode that sending data, and after we receive that data, we have to decode it. But in 2.7 Python, it does it by itself, so there's no need to encode or decode. but in the 3.6 we have to encode it and decode it. So we send the data and we have to see the result over here. What will be result? S dot rec v. So here we will just show what's the buffer size would be, what we are getting through that particular server. Basically we can write anything, but this will say that it should be between 2000 and 4000. We can just write any value over here. So we will just show that if make a while loop over here, that would just check that if the length of result that we are getting is greater than 1 or greater than 0, we can just print the result. So we will just define over here what will be the size of result would be around how much buffer we want. We will just save it and check it out what will be our output. So here is an output that we got from this program. So the main thing to notice about this output is that when we got this output, it is in a bytecode form. We can see that it is showing that it is in byte form. So to read this, first of all we have to decode it. So it's just a piece of junk over here that I already told you earlier. So it's not telling anything, but yeah, we were able to perform the GET request on that server. So hope you guys got some knowledge from this video about socket. It's just basic thing that I wanted to tell you about this. So that's all. Thanks a lot for watching.